When vaping first came out, they said it was a safer alternative to smoking cigarettes. Falsehood, not true at all. Vaping is not water vapor. It is actually aerosol. It's like spraying hairspray into your lungs. And it's this sticky, gooey stuff that gets into your lungs and it damages your lungs. And it damages your lungs a lot quicker than you even realize. My name is Lori Tobin, and I am the creator and the executive producer of Taking a Toke, a documentary on teen vaping, dangers of teen vaping. Now, the reason why I'm doing this documentary is twofold. Well, both of my parents died from tobacco. They started smoking when they were teens, and my mother died of lung cancer, even though she quit, but the damage was still done. My father died of complications because his lungs were in such bad shape, and they were both just barely 70. I smoked as a kid because my parents smoked, and I quit and I started running. And that's what I want the kids to understand. If you quit, your body will heal and you'll be able to do really well. I also did it because in the mornings at the grammar school here in Hull, I started an exercise program. They didn't have anything for the younger kids, the kindergarten, first graders, second graders. So I started an exercise program, and I ran that for 12 years. Some of my former students I've seen walking around town, and they are vaping. And I know these little kids, when I used to run around a gym with them and play games, and we had a wonderful time. And so they said, well, maybe a documentary would be good. So that's when it began in 2019. I have Joe Collymore working with me, and he's also part of the Harbor Media team.
I appreciate the opportunity just to work with her passion. She is it's hard to say no to Lori. Why am I doing this film? Because I feel that this whole topic of vaping is an evolving story. And I feel that we have an opportunity to play a role in communicating to our parents, to our community at large, and to our young people the full parts of the story. There are pieces that are missing. And I think that as we go along in this making of the film, we're discovering some of those pieces that are not making its way out into the general public and by way of mass media. I learned something about how the product is being marketed that I really hadn't been paying full attention to. What I didn't realize was that the industry was also creating product that made it look really cool when you could hide that product in clothing and backpacks and make the product look like something other than what it really is. So for me personally, to discover the marketing techniques that were directly designed to appeal to a younger generation, to the point where the older generation was clueless, that for me was the big surprise. I want parents to really be aware of all the different components that are at play, look for the signs that whether or not your child is using, and then have a very open and very transparent type of conversation with your child about what this represents, how dangerous it can be, and how the long-term effects on one's lungs can be as a result of this product, which is still relatively new. It's only been out on the market for less than 15 years. And so from a medical research standpoint, there's very little known about it and so far as the long-term effects. And those are one of the concerns that I have that I think parents should be aware of.
This nicotine is so powerful, the kids get addicted really quickly. So just watch for things that are different in your kid. Also, it's really important to know who your kids are hanging out with. Super, super important as well. So it's important to have a good network. That's what I think parents need to know. Their lives are so much more valuable, and worth so much more than to test and try something like vaping. And if you continue vaping, you're going to be limited because your body won't be able to give you that juice that you need. There's just too much life to be lived. The last thing you want to deal with is having health complications. There's so many other fun things you can do than vaping.
I would like kids to know that this possible flavor of the month, flavor of the year, flavor of your youth could have long-term impact as you get older, because it is a new technology, because we don't have enough research on its effects as to what kind of impact is it going to have on your health 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. So I'm very concerned about that. Vaping, just regular vaping pods, if you will, it's obviously a chemically designed product. In reality, what you're doing is you're heating a chemical and it creates an aerosol. When you move into adding marijuana and other substances, what you're running is a risk of other chemicals being added to the vaping chemicals, additives, if you will, including things like fentanyl that can have an immediate impact on your health, to the point where it could literally kill you if you're not careful.
I'm so happy to hear that the numbers are on the decline for vaping. I think that's wonderful, but there's still millions of kids that are addicted. We're going to continue with our documentary. It's really, really important. We just want to educate, and the younger you can educate, some schools are starting in 5th grade, 4th and 5th grade. Kids need to understand what this chemical, this nicotine, does to their brains and their bodies and their lungs, because knowledge is power. There's a lot of kids that are addicted, and I want to help them, and I want to help their parents too.
They say that the vaping numbers are on the decline, but it really begs the question, especially in the middle of this pandemic. We are now 1 year into the pandemic, and we may not know the full impact of the pandemic and the public health, especially among our young people who are actively vaping, until a year to 2 years from now, insofar as what has been that residual effect. So I'm not sure that, even though on the surface we may be seeing declining numbers, it really begs the question, is that a reflection of our young people who've been able to figure out how to order product through the dark web, have it delivered to their next door neighbor's front doorstep, get the product, and no one knows about it? Well, right now we're just about ready to begin the heavy lift, the process of editing into the story. There is a story to be told here when you add in all the different parts and players, the manufacturers, the marketers, the legislators, the prosecutors, the healthcare industry, and of course, the consumers, which you've already heard about. Right now, it's all about getting the word out, getting awareness out there within the schools, particularly the PTOs at the middle school level.
We are at 80% done with the filming, so we're just trying to get to that finish line. The rap song came about because Joe said, hey, Laurie, why don't you know everybody at the high school because your son goes there. Why don't you ask the music teacher if any of the kids want to do the rap song, do a rap song for it. So they did. They wrote it all on their own. They performed it, and they did a terrific job. They did a really, really great job. I was so grateful. It's a really, really fun song. I think it's awesome. It's important to get kids involved in the prevention message too. The best way for people to contribute and help us is to donate through our website, takingatoke.com. We have a donation button there, and no donation is too small. The less kids that vape, the better.